quickly. I also apologize for presenting this in English. My Spanish is not good enough to cover this subject matter, so I apologize for that. I'm excited to talk today about the work that we're doing with news publishers to focus on supporting different business models, specifically the work that people are doing on solutions or on subscriptions. A little bit about me. I've been at Facebook for about 2 years. I lead one of our product marketing teams, and a big part of my job is working with all of the product teams at Facebook to make sure that they're building products that work and have value for the partners that we work with, whether they are partners in the entertainment industry, the sports industry, or also very importantly, the news industry. Prior to being at Facebook, I worked at the New York Times for a few years on their business development team, and I worked really closely with a variety of teams there, the people that were thinking about diversifying revenue streams through branded content, virtual reality, different advertising packages, and of course, the subscriptions team there too. So the agenda today, pretty straightforward. I want to talk a little bit about the landscape that publishers are facing right now. Obviously, it's no new news to people in this room, and we've already heard a lot of great things from panelists today about that. I want to talk a little bit about how our solutions plug into helping you support your business model. And I also want to talk a little bit about some of the investments and initiatives that we're pushing forward that aren't just about Facebook. I think one of the themes from the presentation today that I'd like you to take away is that we don't expect everyone to use Facebook products to support their businesses. We know that there are certain places that we can fit in and help you, and we really want to focus on those. And we also know that there are certain things that we can do by bringing publishers together and leveraging their expertise to help people learn how to do things off of Facebook. But first, let's just start for a second on the publisher landscape. A couple of things that I want to focus on here are the fact that technology platforms have really changed how people consume news and how they think about it. So I think a big push there has been for publishers to think differently about their business models. Sort of long gone are the days where you could only focus on driving referral traffic to your site and monetizing through ad revenue. That is certainly something that publishers still focus on and should focus on, and something that we want to help with through distribution. But there are so many other ways that publishers are experimenting with moving their business models forward. Things like branded content, things like podcasts, and also really moving towards thinking about how you can establish a direct paying relationship with customers, which is probably the most stable source of revenue, but also the hardest one to get right and the longest road that you sort of have to be ready to walk down in order for it to be valuable. A couple things to cover here. I think we really know that no two business models are the same. If you were to take a poll of publishers in this room or publishers around the globe, you would have different slices of how publishers are thinking about their business. There are some that have completely forgone having their own website or apps. They're only socially distributed. There are some that are really only focused on having a hard paywall where all of the content is behind a paying transaction. Others are really leaning into branded content. Others are experimenting with different forms, whether it's licensing their intellectual property or moving into more audio formats or video formats. Basically, none of these business models are the same. And so when we think about this at Facebook, we know that we can't build products to solve for all of these use cases. I think the most important thing we can do is build tools that can fit in some of them and then rely on you to help us know where we should go next. One thing we have seen is that there's a growing segment of publishers that are thinking about supporting their businesses through subscriptions or membership models. Again, a direct paying relationship with a customer is a really hard thing to get off the ground, but it does provide a sense of stability and establishes that direct connection with a consumer. That is probably the strongest thing to survive throughout time. And then I touched on this already, but there are a lot of new formats that publishers are looking to monetize, whether it's video or audio, and even moving into things like VR and AR. There's a lot of opportunity to sort of supplement the basic revenue that publishers are bringing in. When it comes to the subscription funnel, I don't think this slide will be new to people in this room. When a publisher is just thinking about referral traffic, it's sort of a point in time discussion to have with a customer. How do I get someone to click on a link and read an article? But to build a subscription business, you have to think about the full customer journey. And that goes all the way from having someone be aware of your brand, that initial discovery, to getting them to start to engage and read articles more consistently, to comment on them, to build a sort of habituated relationship with you. And then there's that very important point of converting them. So they visited they've learned about your publication, they visit your site 8 times a month, they hit a paywall, and now they have to take out their credit card and actually pay you money. And that is a very tough step to get right. And you do a lot of things beforehand to prove the value proposition. That sort of is the magic moment where you convert someone into being a paying customer. But then after that, you actually have to keep the paying customer. When I was at the New York Times, one of the most interesting things that I learned is that retention is really one of the most important things to focus on. To go through all the work of getting someone to pay for a subscription and then losing them is a lot of wasted effort and a lot of wasted time. So really one of the things that that publishers focus on now is once you've converted someone, how do you continuously show them the value of that subscription on a daily basis so that they stay a subscriber. Sort of before you sort of do that funnel analysis, one of the important things to consider is whether subscriptions are right for you as a publisher. And there's no one-size-fits-all way to answer this question. There's no sort of step-by-step process where you can sort of go through a checklist and figure out if subscriptions are right for you or not. A lot of this is a very personalized discussion that you have to have with team. There are a few things that I think you can consider though. One is think about your content. There was a point made earlier today that like you don't want to have commoditized. You don't want to have a commoditized product. You want your product to be special, to be exclusive. So the more that your content can lend itself to that, the more likely it is that your audience would want to pay you money every month for it. The other thing to really think about is your audience. Is your audience the type of audience that is willing to spend money on you each month? Or are they more likely to want to do one-off donations or to support through individual contributions? That is a really massive thing to consider, the demographic of your audience and some of the characteristics about them. You also should think about your existing revenue model. If you do use a paywall, you will inevitably cut off some of your content from your audience, which means you'll reduce some of your ad revenue there. So there's sort of a financial calculus that you have to take into mind also. And the last thing to keep in mind is also the fact that if you start a subscriptions business, you really need to focus on your marketing. Essentially, a subscriptions business is you selling a digital good to a customer every month. You're essentially launching an e-commerce operation. And e-commerce operations spend a lot of time thinking about marketing and how you build that funnel, drive people through it again and again and again. So I think these 4 bullet points there's a massive amount of information in them. And I would say the larger point here is that moving to a subscription model is not an easy thing to do. You need patience and you need persistence and you need a conviction that it's the right road for you to go down. But there are some key points to consider as you're doing that. So I want to talk a little bit now about how Facebook products can help you with a pivot towards a subscription model and some of the other work that we're doing to support the news industry at large. So when we think about how we can help here, there's a few core business opportunities for us. One is sort of moving Facebook away from just a referral traffic engine to one that helps you build a long-lasting relationship with your audience. How do we actually help you develop your audience? So obviously newsfeed is a very powerful tool that we can use there, but there are a bunch of other things that we can use to help your audience become more familiar with you, whether that's video offerings, whether that's something like Facebook groups. There are a lot of other pathways that you can use to build a stronger audience on Facebook. You can also think more broadly outside of the Facebook app towards Instagram as another opportunity. We're also changing our approach here. We are not just focusing on driving traffic and referral traffic anymore. We really want to help support subscription and membership models and sort of these user pay models that we think can be really helpful for a segment of publishers. And the last thing here is, obviously as Facebook, we do want to find a way where Facebook products can help you, but we also realize that there's a lot of other help we can provide to the industry at large. So we've made a lot of investments and started a lot of initiatives recently to bring publishers together to help them understand best practices that go beyond Facebook. So how should you think about audience development more broadly? How should you think about video production more broadly? Not just through a Facebook lens, but through an overall production and content lens. I just wanted to come back to the subscription funnel for a second. Within each step of that funnel, from discovery to engagement to conversion to retention, we do believe there are Facebook products there that can help you along every step of the way. It's not my intention or assumption that people would use every single one of these products. That's definitely not the right approach. Some of them will work better for you based off of your audience and your current model, and some won't. I can walk through some of these very quickly. So on the discovery front, ultimately we think that there are a lot of Facebook products that can introduce your content to different people and different audiences. Newsfeed is a very obvious example there, but you can also use things like our video products, Facebook Live, Facebook Stories, and Instagram Stories to start to deliver different types of content to your audience. Through engagement, that's where you really start to see people get habituated to your content and come back to it every day and build a little bit of a deeper relationship with it. We do think there's a lot of engagement that can happen on Facebook. So Facebook groups are a great example here. If you have a publication that is going very deep on a specific topic area, you could start a Facebook group so that your audience can have a discussion about that topic, maybe with your journalists or with each other. That's another way to sort of extend your brand and build a deeper relationship with people. At the conversion point, this is something that we've really been focusing on for the last year and a half, and that is how do we build tools on Facebook that help convert readers into paying customers? We have a product in the Instant Articles paywall that helps you do that, and we're also experimenting with a few other things, like a new product called News Funding, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And lastly, there's retention. So obviously, once someone is paying you on a monthly basis to see your content, you need to continuously show them the value of that content. We know that folks are coming to Facebook on a daily basis, so how can we get your content in front of them on a daily basis also? The retention work that we're doing, I think, is some of the most exciting work that we're doing around monetization for news publishers right now, and I'll talk about some of that a little bit more. One of the other products that sort of goes across all of these levels of the funnel is Facebook advertising. I'm not here to sell you on Facebook ads or to increase your investment in them, but they are a very effective and efficient means for driving people to take action. So if you want to push someone from just being a casual reader to engaging more deeply with your brand or converting, I would view using Facebook ads as an investment in doing that. And again, that's a place where you have to do the analysis on your own to figure out if it's worth it for you. So you have to figure out what the lifetime value is of that customer and what you would pay to acquire them, and make sure the math makes sense. But that is a place where we do think that publishers can really lean in and figure out how to make the full Facebook suite of products, including our marketing tools, work for you. Talk quickly about Instant Articles, which is one of the products that is at the root of a lot of the work that we do. So Instant Articles, if you're unfamiliar with them, is really a product that's built off of a basic consumer need, which is that people want to be able to read content faster. Instant Articles is a native format on Facebook that loads really quickly, and it loads really quickly, especially in low connectivity environments. And a big thing this does is it helps drive more traffic to your site. We've seen from consumers, and we have studies and research that shows that people get frustrated when an article doesn't load, and they bounce and they don't read anymore. So the point of Instant Articles is to get people into the reading experience faster, which then has a lot of really nice spillover benefits for you through our other distribution mechanisms. We know after a couple years of having Instant Articles out in the market that consumers engage more with Instant Articles. They view more content, they click more, they spend more time. We've spent a lot of time with our product team recently trying to make Instant Articles an immersive experience for a customer, for a reader. What we really want here is for the recirculation experience and the depth that they can get through Instant Articles to be similar to what they get on your own owned and operated site. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about recirculation ad units, how you build a good navigation experience, so that when someone clicks on an Instant Article, they're actually driven to read more of your content, which we think is really good for you overall as a business, especially if you're one that's trying to launch a subscription model where you need people to consume a certain amount of content in order to pay. So we think that Instant Articles sort of solves for a bunch of these things: driving more views, getting more clicks, loading faster, and ultimately having people spend more time with your content. One of the big pushes for us as a product organization and a partnerships team is to make sure that Instant Articles offers as much value to you as possible. And we really want it to be on par with your own owned and operated sites. So here's a couple of the sources of value that we have. So one is increased reader engagement, and I talked about this a second ago. If people read your content more and they can get to it more easily, they're more likely to read more of it. If people read more of your content on Facebook, the algorithm then starts to favor it within newsfeed. So that helps you get sort of boost how your content is doing. We know that just simply driving people to view your content is not enough. You have to be able to monetize it. And there are pretty flexible and competitive ad monetization formats on Instant Articles. So there's sort of two paths you can go down there. You can direct sell using your own sales team ads into Instant Articles. And if you don't want to do that, you can also rely on our programmatic offerings, which are Audience Network. And we think between those two things, the CPMs on Audience Network and your own direct sold, we should have a pretty competitive monetization story to sell through Instant Articles as well. One of the other nice features of Instant Articles is that it's not just a reading experience. One of the things we want to do is allow people to build a deeper relationship with you. So email capture is a really important thing that publishers are doing on their sites. We now support that in Instant Articles. You can get someone to sign up for a newsletter. This is a way for them to get your content off of Facebook and for you to have another opportunity to market to them, to show them the depth and breadth of your content, and to build a stronger relationship with them. The last source of value for Instant Articles is really around our insights, and we need that to be at parity with what you have. You can integrate with Google Analytics, you can use the Pixel. We want to make sure that you're seeing what's happening on Instant Articles as well. 75 of the top 100 domains on Facebook are actually using Instant Articles right now. We think that's a pretty good signal that it's a valuable format for people to use. So about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago at this point, as we saw the market move more towards a subscription model, we realized we sort of had a gaping hole in our offering with Instant Articles. So if you had a paywall on your owned and operated site and someone hit, say, 10 articles a month, they would then have to pay in order to see more. For a while, there was no paywall within Instant Articles. People could read unlimited amounts of content there. And that's something that we heard loud and clear from publishers that was unacceptable. So we built a native paywall into Instant Articles. And the hope here is that we can drive incremental subscribers to your, we can drive incremental subscribers to you when they hit that paywall on Facebook. It's a way for us to sort of close down the end arounds that people could use to read your content without paying for it. And we've worked with a variety of partners in region to launch the paywall Instant Article. We have about 40 publishers around the world using it right now, including folks in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Brazil. Recently, we fully launched this product. So it was in a beta test, which for us is a small test with a few partners to make sure that the system works and it's providing value. But a few months ago, we launched this more broadly. So the full experience is available to any publisher that wants to use it. Some important things about the Instant Articles paywall. Number one, the publisher controls most of the aspects of the paywall. You can set the meter count, so should people hit the paywall at 3 articles or 10 articles. You can also decide if you want to go towards a more freemium model where certain types of content are behind a paywall and certain types of content are free. Also, really importantly, the entire payment flow happens on the publisher website. We know that when you're trying to optimize towards getting people to actually give their credit card information and hit the pay button, there's a lot of optimization and testing that publishers do on their own sites that Facebook couldn't do. So we wanted that whole experience to live on the publisher site, and all data is owned by the publisher as well. Some of it is shared back to Facebook so that we can build better products, but publishers really own that entire experience. Candidly, when we launched this product in alpha and beta and in early stages, it took a lot of engineering work for a publisher to implement it. It was at about a 6 to 8 week implementation time. That's one thing that we heard loud and clear that it needed to be much easier. And so now the integration time to set up the Instant Articles paywall is about 1 to 2 weeks, which we realize is still a significant amount of time for an engineering team, but we've done a lot of work there to make it as easy as possible for publishers to set this up. Also on Friday, a few of my colleagues will be leading a workshop here, specifically talking through how to onboard to the Instant Articles paywall, some common pitfalls, and best practices for doing that. So I actually got ahead of myself on this slide. Just to recap, publishers do own the transaction here. They own the relationship with the customer. And importantly, they keep 100% of the subscription revenue. We're not taking a cut of that subscription revenue. And you also set the prices and the offers that you're offering to people. We feel good about the performance of this product. People who saw the paywall in instant articles were 17% more likely than average to subscribe to the publisher's offering. So we think that's a pretty good indication we are driving incremental subscribers to you in this way. I mentioned a little while ago that we were really working on our retention products. So once you have someone as a subscriber, what can Facebook do to make sure that they keep seeing your content and keep paying you money? So the welcome screen is one of these offerings, and this falls into a larger bucket that we call subscriber experiences. So if we know that someone is a paying subscriber to your publication, there are a lot of really interesting things that we can do on Facebook to make sure that your content is appearing to them more. So one is we can put up a screen that says, hey, Varun, we've seen that you are a subscriber to La Nación. Would you like to see this content first in newsfeed? Would you like to make sure that you're following this page? What we found actually is that a lot of subscribers were not even following the page that they were subscribing to. So if someone's following a page and they're seeing your content more often in newsfeed, they're going to be clicking through, they're going to be seeing the value of your offering, and they're more likely to stick around as a paying consumer. So we're really going to be doing a lot of work here on retention experiences to make sure that we're helping you keep customers who have signed up. This 74% number I think is really impressive. There are a lot of new subscribers who weren't following the publisher page, and just with that simple prompt, we were able to get them to follow your page and then hopefully see more of your content. And we also saw that instant articles read by subscribers went up 40% after we showed them this welcome screen. News funding is a, sorry, let me go back. News funding is a new product that we've launched, which is in a pretty early test right now, that also attempts to complement the business models of publishers. So the instant articles paywall, which I just talked about, is for a hard paywall of content. There's certain content that you're just going to put behind a paywall and not allow people to see unless they pay you. News funding isn't as strict of a product. Essentially, it's for publishers who don't want to put their content behind a paywall, but still think that they have readers and customers that want to support them through some way, whether it's a membership or a one-time payment. So we've built a pretty easy solution on Facebook where there's a button where a person can click and then become a recurring member, a recurring paying member towards a publisher on an ongoing basis. The publisher controls the request, they set the payment amount, they receive the email address of every new member. This sort of shows what that looks like. So the blue button on this screen says become a supporter. If someone clicks that, they're now paying a monthly payment to this publication, which is Animal Politico in Mexico, which is a news organization that's been testing this product out. And we've actually driven them hundreds of paying members a month through this, which is incremental revenue to what they were seeing already. So this is a newer product. It's probably better for local nonprofit niche publishers who don't want to put their content specifically behind a paywall. Another important suite of products for us when it comes to subscriptions is analytics. If you think about that subscription funnel, actually understanding what's going on at every step of it is crucially important to running an efficient and effective subscriptions business. So a couple of tools we have to offer there are Facebook Analytics, which allows you to see a full customer journey across your properties and across Facebook. It's keyed off of using the Facebook Pixel. To be very honest, this is a slightly confusing product that our team is working on making less confusing for publishers right now. It involves a lot of customization and a lot of setup, and we're trying to help build easier templates and better onboarding so that you can jump into this product right away and have a better bird's eye view of what's happening on your properties. So that's sort of the product portion of this, which is where our products can step in and help you build a subscriptions business. I also want to talk briefly about some of the investments we're making and some of the initiatives that we're kicking off. And our hope here is to also support the business models of publishers, but not necessarily via the lens of using Facebook products. So we have a bunch of new programs, new partnerships, and content investments that we've been making over the course of the last couple of years. And I wanted to talk through a couple of them right now. One of the big things that we're excited about is this idea of accelerators. And accelerators for us allows us the ability to convene a group of publishers over a sustained period of time and work through some problems with them. So these accelerators are a mix of in-person sessions and coaching with some experts that we have and experts throughout the industry. It's a lot of peer coaching and sharing of best practices between teams. And then at the end of the accelerator, we give people a grant of money that they can use to go on and support some of their initiatives that they've learned about through the program. We have accelerators for membership models, for audience development, and for video. And this is something that we're looking to scale globally over the course of the year and next year. But we feel really excited about this because this is a way where we're not trying to specifically push Facebook on people. We're trying to help them figure out with publishers that are in it together how they can think about evolving their businesses. In Brazil, we actually just launched a local news accelerator, which has 10 publishers. It's focused fully on audience development, and it's a 12-week program where you have a few in-person sessions with peers and with coaches, and then you sort of go off on your own with the grant money to experiment and learn what you can. And these are some of the publishers that are involved in that accelerator. And then real fast, in addition to the local news accelerator that we have in Brazil, we're also launching a video accelerator in Mexico where we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll convene a group of peers, peer organizations, we'll have some experts, we'll lead sessions. And the point of these sessions is to help people understand how to think about video overall, both in the context of their owned and operated sites, but also in the context of platform distribution and monetization. And then this is my last slide, a brief plug. All of this information and more is available on the Facebook Journalism Project website, where you can learn a lot more about the programs and initiatives that we're launching, as well as a lot of the products that we've put into market. And that's the end of the presentation. I'm happy to take questions now. And I think I might need a headset for translations.
Creo que tenemos tiempo para un par de preguntas. ¿Alguien? Bueno, de todas formas, si no hay preguntas, creo que Varun va a estar disponible. Allá hay alguien, un momento, Billy.
Hi, Billy from Piano. Question, apart from Mexico and Brazil, are there any concrete plans for the next 12 months to support publishers beyond those two large markets?
Yeah, there are. So we've kicked off work in some in the US, Canada, Germany, and then we're sort of plotting out other markets that we can get to very quickly.
And within Latin America?
Argentina, Juli, do you know the other Latin American markets where we're focused on accelerators?
Since it's not easy to scale, because actually we need to go there and bring speakers and professionals, we're trying to do regional versions. So we're going to do one in Europe, in France and the UK, and we're going to do the one in video will be regional. So we are going to invite a few publishers from Colombia and Peru too. So those are the immediate plans, but we are planning to do, it's just that we're going to do many in 1 month because we are the same group of people. So we are scaling step by step.
And I think one of the other things we'll do is we certainly want to have the in-person accelerators. There's going to be a way for us to scale the learnings of these accelerators to more people, which we can get faster than we can set up the individual accelerators in market.
So in the interim, what can publishers do today to start preparing themselves when you do make these accelerators available in their countries?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, if you're a managed partner, it's working with the SPM to understand how to think about the Facebook product offering right now. It's sort of the that I put up on the screen, which include, your audience, your business, your audience, your content, your engineering capabilities, your marketing resources. If it's about audience development, I think publishers they're already thinking about a lot of this stuff. I don't think there's a lot of pre-work necessary for the accelerators. A lot of it is sharing what has been working and what has not been working already in the market, and then getting some information on top of that.
Great, thank you.
¿Alguien más? Una pregunta más.
En español. ¿Ustedes tienen casos de éxito, experiencias de empresas de medios que han decidido utilizar Instant Articles y cómo, si hay algún flujo positivo económico de la empresa que han podido monetizar los Instant Articles dentro de la plataforma de ustedes?
Yeah.
Y-
So the question was, do we have any success stories or case studies about success with instant articles on Facebook? We do. There are a lot of publishers that are fully all in on instant articles. Obviously, I can't reveal some of their the actual numbers that they've seen lift on. If you go to the website, there are a bunch of case studies up there that'll walk through this stuff. But we do see, I think with the partners that are in our beta test or the open launch for instant articles paywall right now, like the Washington Post, you can see that they've had the ability to actually either maintain parity with their owned and operated or seen an uptick, or they've seen that the long-term value of using it to drive subscriptions makes sense. So there's more information on the website that goes into detail about how some publishers have succeeded using instant articles.
Very good. Thank you very much, Varun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.